Amidst the ongoing US-Israel bombardment of Iran in an escalation that has turned the whole Middle East region into a war zone and caused significant civilian and infrastructure impacts in Iran with over 1,300 deaths, Russia has stepped in and deployed emergency aid to Iran in a show of solidarity for one of its closest allies that has so far not seen anyone from beyond the Gulf openly extend a helping hand during this tough time. In an announcement that was made by the Russian Foreign Ministry on the Thursday of March 12, 2026, Moscow, on direct orders from President Vladimir Putin, deployed one Ilyushin Il-76TD 4-engine heavy strategic airlifter aircraft of tail number RA-76362 that is operated by the Russian Ministry of Emergency Situations to deliver humanitarian aid for the Iranian people. That, since the Iranian airspace has been closed due to the war, the aircraft was to depart from Moscow Zhukovsky International Airport on the same day and transport over 13 tons of medicines to the Republic of Azerbaijan, where they were to be delivered to authorized representatives of the government of the Islamic Republic of Iran for onward transfer to Tehran via a secure overland route. And after spending 3 hours 27 minutes in the air upon departing from the Moscow Zhukovsky International Airport at exactly 10:48 a.m. Moscow Standard Time, the plane landed at Lankaran International Airport in Azerbaijan's southeastern Lankaran city at 3:15 p.m. Azerbaijan Standard Time to mark the arrival of the aid closer to destination. At the airport, the military aid that was almost immediately unloaded into waiting trucks was received by the Russian ambassador to Azerbaijan Mikhail Yevdokimov together with his Iranian counterpart Mojtaba Demirchilu, where the Russian ambassador said that Russia has expressed its gratitude to Azerbaijan for helping deliver the humanitarian aid to Iran. The ambassador highlighted that the previous day, Azerbaijani President Ilham Aliyev and Russian President Vladimir Putin held a phone call, during which they discussed the delivery of the Russian humanitarian assistance. Russia requested that Azerbaijan receive the plane, and the request was reviewed and approved by the distinguished Ilham Haydar-Oğlu within 1 hour, and we are thus very grateful to the Azerbaijani side, he said. From the airport, the cargo had been set to be transported to Tehran using trucks that would cross into Iran via the Astra border terminal. This was explicitly a humanitarian assistance, with Russian statements and reporting emphasizing that it was a medical relief only. And there are no indications of any weapons, ammunition, equipment or dual-use military items being included in this shipment, contrary to recent claims by the West, especially the United States, that Russia has been helping Iran's IRGC with military intelligence and other forms of assistance in this war, to help target American positions and assets, allegations that Russia has denied. The humanitarian assistance to Iran also came amidst a week of intense actions in this war, which is now in its 13th day and which has seen intensified naval, missile and air actions across the Strait of Hormuz, Iran, Israel and Lebanon. Key among the events and activities being Iranian strikes on the Thai-flagged cargo ship Mayurinari and at least 2 other vessels in the Strait of Hormuz on March 11, in which Iran's IRGC claimed responsibility, stating that the ships ignored naval warnings. Iran also hit an Israeli-linked container ship Express Rome and declared vessels aiding the United States or Israel as legitimate targets, effectively threatening the choke point that is a passage of approximately 20% of global oil. On the other hand, US-Israeli precision strikes on aircraft such as the C-130 Hercules, P-3 Orion, Ilyushin Il-76 transporter and older or out-of-service planes plus fuel tanks on the ground at Ayatollah Hashemi Rafsanjani Airport in Kerman in southeastern Iran also happened a couple of hours before the dispatch of aid from Moscow. The strikes were probably made using laser-guided missile strikes like the AGM-114 Hellfire missiles that were launched from MQ-9 Reaper drones, or laser-guided bombs dropped by various precision strike aircrafts, or from the new Lucas attack drone that's a low-cost expendable system that debuted in this conflict. And just to mention, additional key developments over the past 36 hours included naval escalation in and near the Strait of Hormuz and Persian Gulf, with at least 5 more commercial vessels, including Japanese and Marshall Islands flagged ships and tankers in Iraqi waters being hit by projectiles or Iranian actions. Over the same period, the U.S. destroyed or eliminated 16 Iranian mine-laying boats and additional naval vessels to prevent mining in an attempt to keep shipping lanes, especially in the Strait of Hormuz, open. The IRGC also launched barrages of advanced ballistic and hypersonic missiles at Israeli cities of Tel Aviv and Haifa, even though the U.S. has been claiming that Iran's retaliation capacity is severely degraded, with overall missile launches down by approximately 90% from pre-war estimates. Waves of heavy Israeli airstrikes have also been hitting Hezbollah targets in southern Beirut suburbs in Lebanon, with Lebanon's death toll from recent Israeli actions having risen sharply to over 600 in the escalated phase, but Hezbollah has significantly increased rocket and drone fire into northern Israel in solidarity with Iran. Anyway, the US President Donald Trump has signaled that the war could wind down soon if Iran surrenders unconditionally. But Iranian officials have vowed prolonged resistance under the new leadership of Supreme Leader Mojtaba, who was announced as Iran's new Supreme Leader on the morning of the 9th of March 2026, by an 88-member assembly of experts that's primarily a clerical body which selected him by a unanimous vote after a rushed internal election process that was held from 3rd to the 8th of March 2026, following the assassination of his father Ayatollah Ali Khamenei on the 28th of February 2026. The 56-year-old Mojtaba Khamenei had not made any public appearances, issued statements or released new video or photos since his selection as the new Supreme Leader up until March 12, in what was highly unusual for a Supreme Leader and had fueled intense speculation, even though the lack of a public inauguration ceremony wasn't a big deal since none was required for that position under Iran's system. The reason for his absence in the limelight being that he sustained leg injuries in the same February 28 US-Israel strikes that killed his father, mother, wife, sister and a son, though Iranian and Israeli officials describe the wounds as non-life-threatening, and he remains alert and operational. Then in the afternoon of that March 12, he delivered his first written message to the people of Iran, neighboring countries in the Gulf and the world at large from an unknown location, but which was read on Iran's state television, saying that the critical Strait of Hormuz will remain essentially closed as a tool of pressure against Iran's enemies and vowed to avenge the blood of martyrs, specifically mentioning his father, Ayatollah Ali Khamenei, his own wife and sister, and the victims of a deadly missile strike on a girls' school in Manab. He also demanded that all US military bases in the Middle East must be shut down immediately, warning that they will continue to be attacked if they remain open, and suggested that new fronts in the war could be opened in areas where the enemy is vulnerable and has little experience. And while affirming a belief in friendship with neighboring countries, he maintained that attacks on US bases within those countries would continue as a necessity. It is believed that he is sheltering in a highly secure, undisclosed location, and any public statement or appearance risks revealing his whereabouts and exposing him to further assassination attempts, since he is explicitly a target. Prior to his selection for the Supreme Leader position, he was always a behind-the-scenes figure with strong IRGC ties but virtually held no public speeches, interviews or formal government roles, since he is not comfortable with public speaking and has avoided the spotlight for decades.
ما از انتقام خون شهیدان شما به خصوص جنایت در حق کودکان همچون جنایت عامدانه در مدرسه میناب صرف نظر نخواهیم کرد.